everyone, this is Jama Malmi here, and I am going to share how to make 3 different shaker cards, all using the same stencil in different ways. So I cut this polka dot stencil here from the Artbooking Cricut cartridge, and I just cut it with regular cardstock because that's what I had, and you could use the stencil sheets and cut your own reusable one out of stencil sheets, which would last you much longer. But I had actually cut this a long time ago before the stencil sheets came out from Close to My Heart and decided to use it, and it lasted through these 3 cards, and then I had to toss it. But the techniques that you see here today can be used with any stencil. So I'm using the Ranger texture paste that Close to My Heart offers now, and this is the clear one from the Trio sampler pack, and it goes on opaque. You can see that it's white. I just dried it a tiny bit with my heat tool, but just so it would be a little bit dry to the touch, since I had to apply the stencil on the other side and it would be touching a little bit. I didn't want to wait for it to dry completely. I was being impatient, so that's what I did that for. And I also ended up switching the texture paste spatulas after I started. That long one that you see there to the right that I was just using, that one ended up working the best. So I let this dry overnight. You can sort of see in the middle where the dots join, but it's going to be scored and folded, and you're really not going to notice that. Plus, a lot of the background is going to be covered up with the second Z fold that you'll see me do here in a minute. So this double Z fold card I originally saw on Jennifer McGuire's YouTube channel, and I will link that below. She does a really good job of explaining this. And so I wrote out her dimensions there on that piece of paper to the right, but I ended up altering it just a little bit to fit the shaker window better. So this base that I'm folding right now is the same, and it folds up to be a typical A2 size card, 5.5 by 4 1/4 once it's all folded up. And then this top one, I ended up trimming off just 1/4 inch and then changing where it's scored by 1/4 inch. So you'll see here in a minute after I finish scoring it and put it up, and then it didn't quite open exactly how I wanted to for the size of the shaker. So that shaker window is a little bit too wide, I think, for the panel, and so I trimmed off 1/4 inch from one side, and then I added 1/4 inch to how far over that top piece was scored, so that it's a little bit wider at the top, and in order to do that I had to adjust the length of the total piece. So I hope that makes sense. It's 4.5 by 7 1/4 inches is the cut size, and then I scored it at 3.5 and 5 3/8. So I just inked around the edges a little bit to give it a little bit of pop off of that black background, and then I'm folding it up before I glue it on to make sure it's all centered, but I'm not gluing that second part yet. Then I'll put the glue on that back part and just fold it on top so that it's all even. And there you've got that cute little Z fold. So I used the thin cuts that match the shaker window to cut that circle and that shaker window ring. And here is what the shaker window foam and acetate looks like, and it's so cool how this goes together. So I use a little piece of washi tape to peel the plastic film off of the acetate. Makes it super easy. And then here is the foam ring. So I'm leaving it on the circle. I'm peeling the top protective coating off of the foam and putting the acetate right on top of it so that it keeps that nice perfect ring. And then I'm going to peel the whole thing off and with just the foam ring. And then you've got all of those foam squares left over that are just bonus foam that you can use on whatever project you want. Now this step that I just did was important. The anti-static little pillow that I used there, it will keep some of the static off of the acetate because it likes to cling to static. And then I also rubbed it around the inside of that ring so that it would get some of the stick off of the inside of that foam ring so that the shaker bits won't stick inside. So I used some sequins for my stash. That's what the black was. I used the silver shaker or loose sequins from Close to My Heart, and then the orange is the die cut that you saw there. It cuts little tiny orange stars. And now I'm decorating the inside of the shaker window with some of the stickers that come with the Hello Pumpkin compliments. They're nice heavy cardstock stickers. And I'm a little late in recording this, even though I did make this before Halloween. It's now after Halloween, but I made these for my daughter's teachers, and she was really excited about them. She thought that the shakers were super cool, and I'm sure the teachers loved them too. But these techniques can be used for any holiday or birthday or any type of celebration. So now I am stamping Boo because I don't have a Halloween stamp set, and I just use an alphabet to stamp Boo. That is I want to say it's Jennifer's Hand alphabet. It's a really great all-purpose alphabet, which I'm not sure if it's retired now or not. I think it's still available. And then there's also the Simply Said alphabet, which is another really great, simple, all-purpose alphabet to use. So I stamped it onto a piece of white cardstock, and then I'm just inking around the edges in the orange ink to make it pop a little bit, and adding some of the foam that came with the shaker foam to make it pop off the card a little bit. And once I adhere that shaker window down, then we are complete with card number 1. I also really like how the Hello Pumpkin paper is so versatile. You can make it look Halloween, but there's a lot of black and white that you can use anytime. So here's my second card, and the second technique I'm going to use with the stencil is to add ink. And I'm just going to use a little foam dauber. These are super handy, and I'm going to dab it into my nectarine ink and just pop it right into each of those little holes. It went really quickly and makes a nice little impact. So I thought that I was going to add a white panel like that onto the card, but it covered up so much of the background, I decided I didn't want to do that. So I took that off, and I just decided to have the shaker window there and add some little flag banners off of the side. Looked like a Halloween shooting star to me. And again, I'm decorating it with the Hello Pumpkin compliments on the inside so that there's something visually interesting to look at through the window. And then I'm also going to be adding some stickers to the outside as well. I'm adding all of the same shaker bits, so the orange shaker stars that are from the thin cuts, and the same black sequins and the same silver loose sequins. I think that makes a nice mix for Halloween. And it's really great that the shaker window thin cuts come with the option to cut out your own confetti because it adds just the perfect pop of color. Then for the actual sequins that you use, you can use more neutral like gold and silver and white, and then add your pop of color with the cardstock from the die. So that cute little bat on the outside, I love the effect that he adds. And trying to figure out what other stickers to add. Went with that little orange circle. And I knew I wanted to have like banners coming off the side. It took me a little while to figure out exactly how to do that. I saw that sticker banner and decided, oh yeah, I like that. And so I cut a bunch of scraps from my paper pack. These are all just scraps that I had left over. This is a great use of scraps, and cut them at varying widths and glued them down. You saw me use the rub and remove eraser, which is a super handy tool to remove adhesive where you don't want it on your project. And then I added that sticker piece on top, and now I'm adding some black shimmer trim. This is probably my most used embellishment. I love the black shimmer trim, and there's also silver shimmer trim and other various colors as well. So my last card is going to use the stencil one more time, and I am going to use my shimmer brush to squirt out some shimmer, my black re-inker to add some color to it, so now it's like a glittery black, and that was a little bit of water to thin it out a little. And it goes on black, but it ends up drying kind of gray with this beautiful sparkle, so it's a great background technique. You can do it with any color re-inker or any color of our shimmer brushes, or this is a great way to color your shimmer brushes. If you have just the gold or the silver shimmer brush and you want to add some color to it. But then we also have red and sugar plum, which is like a mauve color, and you can use the shimmer brush in so many different ways. So it's really hard to see, but there is a really lovely shimmer, and it just makes those splatters have a little bit more organization than just splattering them onto the page by going through the stencil. So I'm using the same Boo letters, and I thought maybe I'd switch it up and put Boo on the top, but then I ended up not liking the shaker window positioned on the bottom. So I switched that back up to being across the Boo being across the bottom. I've mentioned this in videos before, but I just love that little 4x6 trimmer, or it's called a photo trimmer, but it's just so handy. It's self-sharpening, and you never have to worry about it sharpening, and I love the guillotine handle. So I highly, highly recommend that trimmer for little pieces, especially for card making, but I also use it in scrapbooking, not only for my photos, but my smaller pieces that I have to cut. So here is my last shaker going on, and I didn't put anything on the inside because there's already so many faces, and I'm adding this cute little cat to the outside, and he's going to cover a lot of the window, so I didn't think I needed anything else on the inside. I'm putting some foam under his tail since he's raised up so that it doesn't get smushed down. And then I'll embellish it with some of the little stickers from the compliments pack and some of the black gems or black dots from the black and white dots package, and then also some clear sparkles. I'm going to finish it off with the shimmer brush. I got a little bit too much shimmer out, and so his eyes ended up glowing a little more than I had intended, but it ended up working out well because his eyes really look like they're glowing like they should for a Halloween cat. Added a few other sparkles throughout, and there we go. We've got our sparkly card. So I hope you enjoyed the 3 ways to use a stencil. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll have everything linked below.